Welcome back to another 5 quick tips to climb ranked video. Today we're going over Camille, the Steel Shadow. For our first advanced tip of this video, we're going to start with the simplest one. It's about utilizing your passive correctly. Camille's passive, Adaptive Defenses, grants you a shield based off your opponent's damage type, either physical or magical. So if you're playing versus a mage, for example, you'll get a magic damage shield, and if you're playing versus like a bruiser or an assassin, it'll be physical damage. Most of the time, this passive will feel like it plays for itself, and you don't really have to think about it too much. But paying attention to your passive cooldown is key for winning trades in lane. The shield is only 2 seconds long, but timing it correctly when an opponent uses an ability or when they try to return trade onto you is key to being the lane bully that Camille should be. Here's a few examples of how to apply this knowledge to give you an extra edge. In the early game lane phase, minions deal a huge amount of damage to you, and if you're fighting in a minion wave, triggering your physical damage shield will negate that minion damage and prevent pointless extra damage being dealt to you. This also applies to turret shots, so if you're looking to tower dive, you can time your passive to absorb a turret hit and get you away without a scratch. It's also important to time your passive application around your opponent's cooldowns. When fighting certain targets with higher damaging cooldowns, you want to make sure that you have your passive ready and primed for the engage. For example, when Gragas jumps into you, he'll likely follow that with a WQ combo. Now, timing your 2-second magic damage shield at that moment will allow you to block most, if not all, of the damage from his trade while doing good damage yourself back onto him. There are also times when you'll want to hold off from fighting when you know you're going to need to wait and utilize your shield better. Our second tip covers all the different flash interactions that Camille has with her kit. There are tons of different ways that you can outplay your enemies using flash, so learning how to do it correctly makes you insanely unpredictable and impossible to plan against. If you use your flash straight after casting your Q, the animation won't be there, but the damage still will. This interaction is key in situations where you're looking to burst an opponent before making your escape. With your W, you can use your W flash, and your W will follow you to your destination. Try and wait to flash as late as possible to make this really hard to dodge. Using this combination is really useful when you're trying to finish off low health targets, but it's also good when you're trying to get the jump on people to engage with that W slow. Now with your hook shots, your E, this is where things get a little bit more spicy. So feast your eyes on these. We'll start off simple and get a little bit harder as we progress. E, E2, flash. This will extend the range of the second part of your E and stun your opponent even if they're really far away. Think of this very similar to like a Gragas E flash engage. This can be a ridiculous gap closer against targets that have already used their flash, or if you just want to hop on top of people without them being able to react to you. You can also E, flash on top of the wall, and then E2. This makes your E go off faster, make it harder to react against. Most players will be reacting to the first part of your E, but if they can barely see it due to your flash, then it's much harder to dodge the CC from the second part. Another flashy combo is E, flashing off the wall in order to E2 from a different location. On the surface, this might seem like utter madness, but it's pretty useful if you're trying to circumnavigate targets that are in the way of who you're looking to burst down. Very unique way to use her E, and is impossible to prevent without the use of hard CC. You can also E into flash into E2 over a wall to travel a crazy long distance. This can be great to catch your opponents off guard. It can also be used effectively when ganking, especially after a teleport to the bot lane. You can cover so much distance, meaning there is almost no way your opponents will be able to escape. Our next tip for this video involves some lesser appreciated and cheeky uses of your ultimate. Firstly, you can use it to cancel dashes. Timing your ulti correctly will allow you to cancel certain mobility spells such as Tristana W, Kai'Sa ulti, or Caitlyn E. The list of abilities that you can cancel goes on, and it's really beneficial to learn which ones you can successfully interrupt. You can also use Camille ulti to cancel other movement based ultimates from other champions. That really sucks for them. Pantheon ulti, Echo ulti, even Sion ulti. It's also possible and extremely useful to cast your ultimate as a way of dodging crowd control. Getting CC'd as Camille really isn't that nice. It stops you from killing people and makes you a lot easier to kill yourself. But with proper timing on your ulti, when you hop up into the air, you can dodge a lot of CC. It's not just CC that you can dodge, obviously. You can get rid of some really high damage abilities, because they're always a pain. Things like Karthus ulti, Veigar, LeBlanc. You can also use the terrain on the map to your advantage to pin your target into a confined space. Certain places on Summoner's Rift have a smaller area, so if you use your ultimate correctly, you can deny even more movement from your opponent. And lastly, you can use your ulti to get over walls. It's not just aggressively that you can do this either. If you see someone over the other side of the wall, you can hop on top of them and use them to get the hell out of dodge. It's not just your ultimate that you can use to prevent CC, but also your E, which will be our fourth tip for this video. Camille's E has 3 phases. Phase 1, before your first chains hit the wall. Phase 2, where your chains have hit the wall and you're Spider-Manning towards it. And then phase 3, when you bounce off the wall in your targeted direction. In phase 1, if you time it correctly, you can nullify incoming CC. Although you don't remove the crowd control effect, you do negate most of it as your animation on your E carries forward. Now you can use this in a number of ways, whether it's when the crowd control skill shot is on its way, whether a crowd control champion is nearby. Learning how to time this correctly is just another way to maximize damage output and prevent you from getting shut down. If you do this a second too late and enter phase 2 of your E, any hard CC will cancel it. One last thing to mention about crowd control and your E is that when you're in phase 3, you can use your crowd control to interrupt opponents' dashes. Pairing this with your ultimate gives you a ton of variety and unique ways to avoid abilities and outplay your opponent. And the last thing to say about Camille's E, if you're fighting next to a wall, you can quickly double tap it, get that instant stun, get that instant damage. And the last tip we want to share with you for today's video is optimizing the use of your Q. Champions with an auto attack reset have the opportunity to do a lot more damage per second when utilizing that auto attack reset correctly. If you're unfamiliar with auto attack resets, it's essentially a way for you to get 2 attacks off in a really short amount of time. Whereas normally you have to wait in between auto attacks because of your attack speed, there are some abilities in the game that will instantly trigger an auto attack. So if you hit an enemy with an auto attack and use that ability as soon as you can, you're going to get 2 autos off in rapid succession. Now Camille's Q just so happens to be one of these auto attack resetting abilities, and because of the way it's designed, you can do it twice. This means that making the most of your trades on Camille will rely on getting that auto attack reset on your Q1 and also the Q2 once that's empowered with the true damage. Here is an example of what I'm talking about woven into a combo. Start with your auto attack, then instantly Q for the reset. Then while your Q is powering up for the second reset, fill that downtime with some of your other abilities, your E, your W, auto attacks. And then when Q's fully juiced up, you want to auto and Q2. This is not only the maximum burst damage that you can do on Camille, but is the bread and butter of all your trades. So mastering it is really, really important. It does take a bit of time, however, for that Q2 to ramp up, and that is really where the most of your damage comes from. And if you don't think you're going to have that time in a fight, what you can do is Q1 onto a minion. So you're prepping your Q2 and then engage onto your opponent and hit him with it straight away. And that just about does it for our 5 tips for Camille. If you want to check out the best updated build for this champion, then go check out the website mobalytics.gg, search it up, there'll be a link to it in the description. If you want to see more videos like this one for different champions, again, you can head over to the website or check the link in the description for our playlist. But most importantly, guys, thank you so much for watching. Good luck grinding that ranked with Camille. I hope you have a fantastic day.